Women will lie to themselves just to have that fantasy, to put that fantasy on a person. So part of what I think women have to do is come to reality. Because some of the best dating advice I can give women, when they say, well, he's doing, I've just met someone and he's doing this and he's doing that and I don't know, I say, this is who he is. You can't fix him because you're not Jesus. You can't change him because you're not Jesus. This is who he is. He doesn't want children and you do, maybe, or he wants children and you don't, or he doesn't want full commitment, he doesn't ever want to get married. This is who he is. Is that the person that you think God has for you? Simple as that. That's reality. Rather than like, well, maybe I can fix him, maybe I can change him. That's the same thing. And I think it's kind of cruel to love someone that you don't really love them because you want to change them. That seems a bit like they deserve to be loved as they are. Yeah,
that's that. You know what you're saying there. There's an epidemic actually that happens in the church where, the ideal scenario is that, you can find someone in your church because you're under the same spiritual climate. There's going to be a high chance there's going to be compatibility there in terms of destiny, purpose, and the direction you're both heading in. But I even asked, and I verified this with some of the Christian women that I was sat at an event with, and we were just talking about relationships in the Christian world. And I asked them about this thing where they just don't seem to be attracted to the men within the church. And, generally the answers you get is, some of the men in the church, they don't seem to be as masculine enough. I've seen that as an answer, although that's not entirely true because I see masculine men in the church, although in many churches, because of this gynocentric culture, you can see, and it's happening, it's getting worse now. A lot of men that are very softly spoken, they're not as masculine as they should be. So that there's a truth to that. Another reason they've given is, no, actually, this isn't really the reason they gave. It was something I put to them, which they hadn't even thought about, which I heard from a preacher who spoke. He said basically that a lot of these women who don't want to get with the guy who's right next to them in church, who is nice, is kind, is a man of God, is because they have a fantasy in their head of what type of man they want. And basically, because they know that guy who's next to them in church inside out, they know everything he likes. They've hung around with him so long. They've known him for years. They know his lifestyle, his routines, his desires for the future. They know everything about him. So they basically have a real picture of him. Basically, that guy completely violates the fantasy because they know everything about him. Whereas they want to go outside to the unknown guy because I can still pin my fantasy on him because I don't know anything about him. So there's mystery. So maybe he might meet my fantasy, but this guy can't because I know him inside out. And I know he's good. I know he's great. I know he's a man of God. But the fantasy doesn't match up. So this actually affects Christian women as well, who haven't dealt with that spirit spouse dynamic in their life, where it's I don't want people to think, oh, if I've had one fantasy in my life, does that mean I automatically have a spirit spouse? No, it's when you do an action that seals a contract with that thing, or when you do it repeatedly, because we are what we do over and over again. When that becomes a norm in your life, and there's spiritual verification of that in dreams, in negative relationship outcomes, in maybe you sealed it by indulging in that fantasy through pornography or through fantasizing about the person you've created in your head and performing a sexual activity on yourself through masturbation. Those things seal it. So I'm just trying to get that out there for people not to think, wait, I have thought, I had a celebrity crush once, but that was for like 10 minutes on a Saturday evening and nothing ever happened since then. So does that mean I have a spirit spouse? No. It's what we do over and over again that creates a climate for spirits to dwell and stay.